New York. I currently live in Victoria, Virginia. I have spina bifida and hydrocephalus. I was born with it, and I was adopted.
Wow. So how did you become an author?
Um, well, Latanya, Little John, is probably the main reason why. When she first wrote her book, she kept asking me to write mine because anytime I would share my story with anyone, they would be like, "That needs to be in a book. That needs to be in a book." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And when she wrote her first one, she was like, "Yeah, come on, write your book." And I'm like, "No, that ain't the time. It ain't the time." But last summer, she got me good. The Lord got me good because He got me good and straight. And she asked me to join the anthology From Their Eyes, and I immediately said yeah. But then I immediately got off the phone with her and said, "Father, what are we doing?"
So
So
when you
yeah,
said
so He said it was
yes,
time.
when you said yes, what was the process to that yes?
Uh, I think the Lord was already preparing me to kind of prepare myself to write. I'm just getting out of my marriage. I'm living on my own for the first time in my life. And so God has really pulled me away from a lot of things and kind of just been working on me. And He kind of just said, "All right, it's time for you to share. It's time for you to share." So I started doing it, and it was actually kind of therapeutic. It really was. And I wanted to share it because not a lot of adoption stories are well. The outcomes are not good, and I was truly blessed to have a wonderful outcome from start to finish. I mean, my foster mother was my nurse when I was left at the hospital. She was my nurse, and then became my foster mother for I think like a year and a half. And then she couldn't keep me, and I went back into the system. And then my parents got me, and I've been with them ever since I was 2.5 years old.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
So on this process of becoming an author,
Hmm.
what can you say was your biggest challenge to getting this book from inside your mind and in your heart and just
Hmm.
the thought to actually on that paper? What was
Hmm.
one of your biggest challenges?
To just doing it, procrastination, to just actually saying, "You know what, we're going to do this right now." I mean, it would just be like the father, like, "Okay, it's time to write." And I would just start writing. I would just start journaling in a notepad I have on my phone, and I would just start writing. And I almost wouldn't want to stop. But then when I get to parts where I'm thinking about my mom and my dad who have gone on home to be with the Lord, it gets kind of hard because I miss them. I miss them so much. I mean, my mom was my biggest cheerleader, and my dad, he was definitely a supporter. And you're talking about a couple who took in a child with special needs. They already have 4 children of their own, and they adopted 3 more. So
Wow.
for a man to be able to accept a child that was not his own with special needs, like it's his own, that's nothing but God. That's a blessing in itself. So I wanted to write the story in honor of them. I wanted their name to be known because they did the work. They did what I am today. Who I am today is because of them.
And not only that, it creates a legacy for them.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
just thinking, wow, about when we lose someone and going through the grief process, being able to keep their memories alive by doing things like this.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
the other young lady, there's another young lady. She wrote a book about her mom and her aunt that transitioned, and
Mm,
she gave them children like characters where she could go back and reminisce about their childhood. And
wow.
for you being able to pass this on to other individuals to see that they may be in the foster care or they may be going through adoption and may not have anybody to talk to, and they can now pick up this book and then
Yes,
they can
ma'am.
read your story or they
Yes,
can read
ma'am.
one of the other individuals story
Yes,
and
exactly.
share.
There's some
So
great stories in there.
that is definitely leaving a legacy. We
Yes,
talked
ma'am.
about you talked about this being a anthology. Um, so that means there were other individuals that shared their story as well.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am. 4 other women.
being in the collaboration project,
Mhm.
um, what has that done to your writing experience versus having to write a book by yourself? Knowing that you had four other people writing with you and sharing that responsibility and that load, how is that versus you thinking about doing your own single project?
It was actually like a sisterhood. I mean, because even though we all went through different scenarios and some were not that great, for us to come together and support each other and encourage each other to